This is my latest project, a 3-drawer chest for the main bedroom. Now, one of the interesting areas in this design is I introduce what I call an inner vertical, this strip here. Now, the reason for that is I don't like the drawer ends come up against the leg, so I introduce this inner vertical to avoid that. And the interesting part of this is that there's 4 rails, this one, and the bottom one. And I'm going to join all those using 1 row of dowels. So 1 row of dowels will be joining all 3 dresser components. And I think that's fairly unusual. I don't actually know if it's been done before, but I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's get started. This is my latest project, a 3-drawer dresser for the bedroom. Now it incorporates a leg, what I call an inner vertical, 4 rails, and it has 3 drawers. Now it is an interesting concept, feature in this design, which I thought I'd show you. Rather than, if you take this joint up here, these 3 pieces here, rather than join them with a series of dowels down here and a series of dowels down here, we're going to do 1 dowel straight through. There will be 2 of them, but 1 dowel will be going straight through all 3 pieces. So that's the difference here, and you've got to be very careful with your reference marking. With the reference marking, you can either use the distance gauge to reference each rail, or in this case, what we're going to do is use pencil marks very accurately to achieve the final result. Now, I didn't have 4x4 lumber to create these legs, so it's done from a lamination. You've got to be fairly careful with this. I used the jointer for one face and the planer for the other face, and it really worked out quite well. These will be visible on the outside. Now you can't see the joints, but you can see the grain, but it's worked out really well. I also use a template for the lower section. This starts off about 3.5 inches thick, and I use this template for the lower profile. Now, in order to preserve this face fairly good, I do the initial cut on the table saw, and once it gets close to this bottom section, I finish it off on the bandsaw, and the same with this small section here. Now, this is the first one. Now, you've got to be really careful with this, the reference marks. In other words, what you've got to ensure is that the reference marks are identical for both legs and both inner verticals, and you've got to do the same at the back end of the dresser. So the first thing to do is work out calculate your measurements here for the various reference marks. Now the top rail and the bottom rail is both 3 inches wide, and the drawers are approximately 6 inches. So you work out these positions and you mark them off here with a pencil. A fine pencil line. Now, as I say, you've got to put all these pieces together to make sure that they're absolutely identical. And the other thing to remember here is when you use these marks for this kind of system, it must be always on the face that's going to be drilled. So in other words, this one here, this is the face that's going to be drilled. So this is the face that's going to be drilled. So you put these alongside, make sure these legs are absolutely identical in length. So make sure that these are absolutely flush. Clamp it here, a good clamp, and then transfer that line over to the inner vertical. Now you've got to, as I said, you've got to do exactly the same thing with all four pieces, the two legs and the two inner verticals, to make them sure that the reference marks are all identical in position. Now there's a lot of joints involved in this design, so it's really careful to mark each one with the reference marks. That's 1 here, 1, 3, 5 and 7, and the even numbers on the opposite side. Now I'll start off with the inner vertical. Now I've already drilled some of these for speed purposes. Now I'm using a backing block here because we're going to go right through this. I'm using a backing block to reduce tear out. Now this says 7/8 thick, and remember the formula, 7/8 halved is 7/16, minus 3/8 is a positive, a 16th. So what we do there is we install a 16th spacer in between the reference bracket and the reference block. And that'll put us exactly in the center. Now a little tip here, which I often use now, so that you get good reference on the most accurate way to do that is to use the indexing pin, push it right through and bring it up against the end of the wood. Tighten them both equally, and remove this. Now, as I said, we're going to go right through, so we're going to drill through 2 and 4. That's that one done. Referencing from the proper side. So that's the inner vertical, ready for, it's drilled completely through. So that's that one. Now I'm going to do the leg. I'll show you how to do the leg. Now, this way. Now in this case what we've done, we've had to expand it by using this 3/4 spacer to spread the device, and I want a 5/8 spacer, 5/8 reveal for the various rails. Now it won't be exactly 5/8 because we've already used the 16th for the rail, so it will be a 16th less than 5/8. So, and I've already drilled them, so what you do is exactly the same as you did with the rail on the top anyway. Bring it through there. And then as I say, drill 2 and 4. And now we're ready. When you come to do these other ones, it's just you just follow the rule on the line. What I do is I come up to the line, just beyond the line, and bring it back again until you just see the line, and that's probably the most accurate way to do it. I drill these 2 because these are 1x2s. Same here, come across the line until it disappears, and then slightly back again and drill 1 and 2. And here's the same, you're referencing to this line here. Now with the rails, we just go back to the just do the same thing here. There's your reference number here, there, on there. Use the same method for the top one. And drill 2 and 4. And that's all you do. The rails are pretty straightforward. So that's we're well on the way here. It's common knowledge that dowels get a bad rap. It's simply because they're almost impossible to do by hand, even by experts. It can be done. But with Dowelmax, and the accuracy, and modern dowels and modern glues, it's one of the strongest joints you can get. Okay, now we're ready to put this together. Make sure your reference numbers are correct. Oh, before you do this, these are all just pressed through here, they go straight through. But it's better to put a little touch of glue in the center just to hold them, because when you're assembling them, they'll tend to move. So just a little touch. Number 1, number 3, number 5, number 7. Now all absolutely flush, and just need a light sanding. And as I say, that's one of the strongest assemblies you'll ever see.